How you going, guys? And this video will be based on answering a question. I always love answering questions, so keep them coming if you have them. And I'm going to bring in a very popular text through the non-dual community, the Ashtavakra Gita. There's many critical verses in this text, but there's one I want to focus in on. But before I get into that, let's first read the question and how I replied and why I ended up making this video. Question: thank you for sharing. Does it mean that the body, speaking, thinking just happens? Am I just a watcher? Basically, it sounds like they're fairly new to non-duality and they've heard of the witness state. And I was so tempted just to say, yes, you're the pure witness of the body, mind, the standard response. You're the pure witness. But in good faith, I could not. Because this teaching is, if you really want to understand non-duality, you need to integrate and accept all of your experience. So here's what I wrote. Ultimately, it's a yes and no answer. Seems like a bit of a cop-out, doesn't it? But it's not. If you are a beginner, it is good to realize the witness state. Ultimately, there is no division between you and reality. Good to realize this, which we'll go into in this video. Getting to the stage where you can witness your body and mind perform actions is important. So yes, you are the witness of it. I'll make a future video clearing this up soon. This video is that video. Here's the thing. I could have just said you're the pure witness and leave it at that. But like I said, in good faith, I can't. Because non-duality, to correctly understand it, here's where we're going to bring in that line from the Ashtavakra Gita, which is this one. You'll see it there. I'll see it on the trusty iPhone 8. Oh, holding on to it as long as possible. Chapter 1, verse 11. Ashtavakra Gita. It is true what they say. You are what you think. If you think you are bound, you are bound. If you think you are free, you are free. Why is that verse so important? Because that's the whole key to understanding non-duality. There are several stories which I won't get into, otherwise it'll make the video too long, in Advaita Vedanta. It's called, quickly, just two of them, the donkey and the washerman, and the lion and the sheep. These two stories are basically about what that verse is pointing to. You are what you think. The nature of reality is prior to thinking, prior to language. And let's see what true non-duality is pointing to and how you can't say yes or no to any question. That's why I gave a yes or a no answer. The first thing, let's go to self-inquiry, to that good old witness state that many people have heard of. To realize our formless nature. One aspect, I should emphasize, one aspect of our nature. It stands to reason anything you're aware of, conscious of, it can't be you. Because you're conscious of it. Are you conscious, aware of the world, or is it conscious of you? What sounds more true, if you're honest? Oh, I'm conscious of the world. What about this body? Are you conscious, aware of this body, or is it aware of you? What sounds more true? I'm conscious, I'm aware of the body. What about your breath? Are you aware of the breath, or is it aware of you? I'm aware of the breath, I'm conscious of it. What about your feelings? Are you conscious of your feelings, or are they conscious of you? What's more true? I'm conscious of my feelings. What about your thoughts? Are you aware of thoughts? Are you conscious of thoughts, or are they conscious of you? If you could pick one, what sounds more true? I'm conscious of my thoughts. What about this feeling of existence? This general feeling of I exist, I am, I'm conscious? Sometimes you feel consciously alert, sleepy, angry, happy, confused, enlightened. Oh, I didn't understand, now I do. Enlightening knowledge. That feeling of consciousness, I am, I exist. What they tell you to focus on in meditation. Are you aware of that feeling of existence belonging to the body, or is it aware of you? And how do you know, just quickly, this feeling of existence is an object, like everything else we went through. Because this feeling of existence comes and goes. When does it go? Deep sleep. Right now you feel conscious of the waking state. When you start dreaming, you're conscious of a dream state, which you take to be real, by the way. In deep sleep, you're conscious of nothing. You're conscious of a blank. What this is showing you is I've went through every layer of your experience. You're conscious of the world, the body, the breath, your feelings, your thoughts. If you could go prior to thinking, you're aware of a blank, just like the blankness of deep sleep. What this is showing you is whatever you're aware of can't be you. You are totally transcendent. A powerful way to look at this is if this was a dream, like a lucid dream where you know you're dreaming 100%. The dream character can never know the dreaming subject. I'm a dream character. Where's the dreamer? I can't find him. I'm trapped in the dream. My name is Simon in Australia. Perhaps my true self is called Jack in Africa. Totally different country and skin color. Where's Jack in Africa? Wake up. Get me out of this. What self-inquiry is showing you? Yes, you are the pure witness. But more correctly, that's one aspect of your experience. Now let's get out of all this transcendental thinking and take it back to this everyday experience. So we've quite clearly seen, if you're a beginner, you need to spend a lot of time on this, but for anyone well-versed in self-inquiry, you have clearly understood you have a transcendent nature, formless. If reality is happening in 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time, 4 dimensions, you're the 5th dimension. Consciousness, your true self, is in the 5th dimension, is the 5th dimension. That's quite clear. But the next thing we must acknowledge, which many people try to forget, we feel like we have a form. You clearly feel like you have a form. Don't try to spiritually bypass and deny this. You feel like you have a form. But here's the catch. Why you feel like you have a form? Which form are you, by the way? You say, I'm this form. But this form is constantly changing. What about you in the form of a 1-year-old, 5-year-old, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever age you are, you have had many forms. So which form is truly you? Your form is constantly changing. But the fact remains you feel like you are this form. Also, what name truly defines you? Just take this example. Just say you're a middle-aged man with children in this example. Which name best describes you? Honestly, someone will call you father. Your children will call you father. Someone will call you son, your parents. Someone will call you grandson. Someone will call you nephew. Someone will call you brother. Someone will call you boss or employee. Someone that truly believes they know who you are will call you a friggin' idiot when you cut them off in traffic. Ask them what you are. You're a friggin' idiot. Why you cut me off in traffic, you dumbass? What I'm saying is, if your form is constantly changing, and at every step of those changes, you feel like that form, if your name is constantly changing, depending on who you are talking to, and it's a legitimate name depending on who you're talking to, what's all this pointing to? Going back to the Ashtavakra Gita, you are what you think. Whatever you think you are in the moment, that's what you are. In the moment of a child calling you dad, you are a dad. In the moment of your parents calling you son, you are a son. In the moment of your sibling calling you brother, you are a brother. In the moment of cutting that guy off in traffic, you are a friggin' dumbass. The fabric of reality is truth. Sat Chidananda, they say in Advaita Vedanta, conscious existence. However that conscious existence molds and shapes itself, it is truth. That's why everyone thinks they're right at all times. You think you're right when you take on a certain belief system. You also think you're right when you think, I'm right now that I think that belief system was nonsense. You always think you're right. So I only went through this long-winded example to show you, yes, you are the pure witness, but also you're this form. Because again, you can't box reality into any concept. That's what Advaita Vedanta is truly showing us. Reality is beyond, prior, transcends all concepts, yet paradoxically, the fabric all concepts are made from. This is why it goes beyond the mind, yet includes the mind. So transcendent, yet so immanent. And what should you do with this knowledge? As a beginner, I'm trying to help you. That's why I created this channel. You know what? I'm honestly sick of hearing non-duality word salads, where people sit around And it's just mental masturbation, to be honest. Now, I get it. People like to absorb their mind in this kind of stuff. But for me, honestly, I didn't want to hear word salads, mental masturbation. All I wanted is, I'm suffering, I need an answer to this. So that's what I'm trying to help you and anyone that resonates with my channel with. So what should you do with this knowledge in a practical sense? Let me give you another verse from the Ashtavakra Gita that is so critical to beginners, to all of us. If we don't live by this, we're wasting our time, honestly, with spirituality. I'm going to be quite blunt. Chapter 1, verse 2 of the Ashtavakra Gita, when Janaka is asking the Guru, Ashtavakra, how does one become free? How is liberation attained, Master? And he starts him off like this. To be free, shun the experiences of the senses like poison. Turn your attention to forgiveness, sincerity, kindness, simplicity, and truth. We need to be a loving, kind, compassionate person. To be spiritual, that's another thing. A lot of people on this non-dual path say, you don't need to be good. You don't need to be kind. It's not about morals. It's about realizing the nature of reality. It doesn't work that way, I'm sorry. If you try to do it that way, you're going to have a superficial understanding. The true blessings and the true realization comes from humility, love, kindness, service. Because what that does to this apparent self that we just acknowledge, you still feel like you're a person living a life. What it does to this apparent person opens up the heart, allows the mind and heart to dissolve into the true self. That's the key to all this. Humility, love, service, surrender. If you're not a loving, compassionate person, sorry, it's not a true non-dual awakening. You've just intellectually understood it. I'm willing to stand by that. 100%. So what should you do with this knowledge? Practice being a loving, patient, kind, compassionate person. That is what Ashtavakra is recommending. He's a guru, remember? An enlightened guru. The next thing to remember about this witness state. Here's how I do it. Take it as an identity when required. As you're living your life being a loving, patient, non-reactive, grateful person, all those loving, godly qualities, whenever a blow comes to your life, whenever you experience suffering, go back into the witness state. That's when you flip into the witness state and say, I am aware of these negative thoughts. I'm aware of these negative feelings. They cannot touch me. I'm the witness of them. I shall witness them pass. Once they've passed, go back into the person living a life stage. And I'm saying go back like you have a choice. But what I'm trying to say is, no matter what you're thinking and feeling, you need to adapt to that situation. Feel like you're a person living a life with free will. Freely be a good person. Be loving, kind, compassionate, devotional, grateful. When a blow comes, flip into the witness state. I'm not these negative thoughts and feelings. Detachment. Once it all passes, go back into the world again. This understanding, truly understood, is very fluid and moldable to the situation. Again, just like in your everyday experience. When you speak to your children, you need to have a sense of authority to be a good parent. You have the authority. You're the parent, they're the child. When you speak to your parents, you need to humble yourself. They're the parents, you're the child. Similarly, when you're a boss, you need to have the authority. When you're an employee, you need the humility. When you're relating to a friend or a sibling, you relate as equals. When you do cut someone off in traffic and it is your fault, you need to accept responsibility and say sorry. See, so if your identity is constantly molding and shifting, depending on who you're relating to, this understanding of non-duality has to mold and shift. That's why don't box yourself into any concept. Boxing yourself into the ultimate absolute witness state will cause suffering. And try that on others. I've heard people say this. Someone's upset, crying. They're in a state of grief and someone says to them, who is the one that is suffering? Who is the one that has problems? Honestly, you deserve a punch in the face, because if the fabric of reality is truth, whatever anyone's thinking and feeling is true in that moment. So that person crying, holding their head, they've lost a loved one, their child's died of cancer. How insensitive. Who is the one that's in suffering? Who is the child that died of cancer? Come on. If this sounds ridiculous, it should, because true non-duality is about understanding the nature of reality is pure consciousness. Everything we experience is a concept. No concept can pin down reality, but we must take on the role, the mask, the concepts suitable for the situation. This is why it's beyond thinking. Thank you so much for the question. I was so happy to answer this. And if you have any more questions, I'm so happy to expand on it further. But until then, take care.